The number one question I get is, great, you retired at 53, but did you have kids? And kids are sometimes one of the biggest hurdles to have during your plan to be financially independent and retire early. But it's not always that difficult to deal with, but everyone has their own situations, and this video is for sure not a financial planner. I'm not a financial planner that's giving you information, but I could share you some ideas and things that we did that helped with the situation. On the expenses side, or if you look at the math of the situation, children are often considered earlier in life. In my point, I guess when I got married in my 40s, I was already in a situation where my wife had two older daughters that were already almost done school and well on their way, and that is all attributed to her planning and her hard work in saving, and also getting an RESP, so basically a registered education fund for the kids. People contributed to it for birthday gifts from grandparents and uncles and aunts, and also my wife helped with that. And I think that was one of the huge ways that the kids were able to go to college and university. They also had to do summer jobs as well, so that's another thing that helped with the payments for university and reduced the student loan situation. So did we help? I certainly did help, and my wife certainly did help with contributing to their payments. But at the same time, it wasn't a free ride, and I grew up having to pay for my own university and college. I should say college, and I think, and my brother's the same. And it's something that, in my experience was important, that made me study harder, that made me save more, and made me want to get a job as soon as I got out of school. So that's one of the things to consider. As far as financials go, both my wife and I, in separate lives, of course, at the time, I had bought a house when I was in my 30s, and I bought a right size house that I wanted to live in for the whole time duration of my, I guess, career and life. I planned to have kids. I planned to be married, of course, and so that required 2 to 3 bedrooms, and that was what I was looking for. So I bought a bungalow that was an older house that didn't need much repair, and over time did some renovations to it, but at the same time was something that I could live in for 20, 30 years, and have other videos that you could check about that situation itself. But I think that's an important step, is choosing a house early on and not changing and keeping up with the Joneses and trying to buy something bigger and bigger and better, to a point where when the kids move out, then you've got 4 to 5 bedrooms and only one bedroom is being occupied. Other things that we did is make sure that food costs were down. I know when I was single, that was one of the things that I made sure to do, was I would make sure to, if I was going out for the evening to hang out with some friends at a pub, I'd make sure to eat at home before I went out. We all did that during that time. It seemed to be a easier way and cheaper way to afford to be able to go out. At the same time, you have a nice meal at home, and it's not as expensive. So if you do that over and over, and try to limit how much you go and eat out, the better it is for your bank account, I would say. So at the same way, buying food, my wife and I have showed the kids that we don't always buy the brand name unless it's on sale and it's cheaper than the no name brand or close to it. I mean, there's some things that buying the non-brand name isn't as practical because it does come apart, like, let's say, sandwich bags and whatnot. But at the same time, there's still some cheaper options there, and there's other ways of looking at the big picture and figuring out what's best and what's going to be economical for you. So these were things that were passed on to our children, And at the same time, it's something that we made sure to do ourselves as an example, and it saved on our costs and finances. So, taking care of those things first is very important. Now, choices as well. So when I was looking at taking the voluntary package at 53, I had to look at all the situation of our family, where the daughters were at with their situations, and as far as their work, where they're living, and if we would be there to help them as a safety net if something would go wrong. So we looked at all the information there, and then looked at a financial planner to help us look at our goals to see, can we actually do it? And when we added it all together and considered the fact that we'd be selling our house to help fund our retirement as well, it all made sense. So I think it's a very individual situation that you have to look at. And when you're looking at it, you can't just look at one little piece. And when you're bringing a family involved, you have to look at the longevity of your plan, and are you able to do it without compromising anything. Easier said than done, but in my situation it worked out. And at the same time, the kids were already well established in their schooling or careers, and we were empty nesters already, so it was time to make a decision at some point. So the sooner the better was for us. Less maintenance and not having two places to worry about was one of the main ideas. Now, one of the things we considered was retiring at 60. That was my original plan, but after some time during the pandemic, I just couldn't see myself doing that anymore. I had spent too much time in a basement in front of a computer, and I just wanted to be out and about and not have to worry about being handcuffed to a desk. And that was one of the things that my wife and I talked about. And when this opportunity came to take a voluntary package, it was perfect. It was a perfect timing. And like I said, we didn't do it alone. We talked to a financial planner to make sure everything was going to work out, and it did. So that was good. Another thing that we've been teaching the kids, as far as when we're talking about children, adults, I guess, at this point, we always talk to them about savings and what we did to save, as an example. So reading the book Wealthy Barber, following Dave Ramsey's advice was some of the things we did earlier on. Never buy a new car, always pay yourself first, have a budget. So these were things that we followed and put to practice, and was helpful to help us save. So if you do that earlier on in your career, starting your life, starting your family life, the kids learn from that as well. And I think it's important, and it's a good way of being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, as far as activities for the kids, we did lots of things, but it wasn't always the most expensive choice. So we would try and find things that were low cost, but that would provide experiences. So road trips to towns nearby, to the mountains, or camping. So those were things we've done. We've done some trips to Mexico with a couple of the kids now that they're older, but that was something that wasn't something that we always did. Going back home out east, we did that as well, and we brought the kids along for some of those trips. That was good memories and good use of money. Yeah, so low cost. We had places to stay, people to visit. So that was one way that we looked to do activities with the kids. We always played games outside as well. So those were things like activities that the whole family could join in. That's another thing. Nothing too expensive, like disc golf or croquet, that kind of stuff. So, good outdoor fun. Now, as far as advice, I talked about it in previous videos, but a couple of things I wish I would have done different is not buy a brand new car. When I was looking at cars, I was looking at a Outback Forester from Subaru, but it was too expensive. So I bought a different brand, and it worked out really well, but car payments wasn't something that I should have done, even though it was 0% interests, I'm paying for something at some point. And then I upgraded that car to a newer model a few years later, and that was another mistake in my opinion. And I could have saved a little bit more money not doing that. I guess trading off the having a reliable car and having payments, it's a tough balance. So nowadays I recommend buying used, a reliable car, low kilometers, and you should be in good shape, and your payments are zero or less. So that's one of the ideas that I would like to share with you. So is early retirement possible? I guess it's hard to say. If in your situation you have to look and evaluate all your budgets and where you plan to be in 5-10 years from now. So retiring with children in, I guess, your plan is important to consider exactly what you need for their schooling, if there's anything that they can do to provide schooling, if they could get scholarships and whatnot. So those are things to consider. I know it's not for everyone to be able to retire early. So all I could do is provide some advice on how I got there, and hopefully this has been helpful to you. And if so, please leave a comment, or if you had a different question, or if you have done this yourself, please leave a comment and help us all as a community understand this a little bit better. What's your biggest financial concern when it comes to balancing finances for your future goals? Can you share it in the comments? Well, I hope this has been helpful. Looking forward to doing some more videos and sharing some of the advice that I have, and we'll see you next time.